Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we are going over Week 7 defenses to stream for fantasy football in 2020. We are going to be discussing 5 defenses inside of this video that I believe that you guys can pick up off that waiver wire and throw right into your lineup for Week 7 of the 2020 fantasy football season. Now, before I touch on these 5 defenses for Week number 7, I'd like to give you guys a word from my friends and my sponsor over at OverlayDFS.com. OverlayDFS.com is my favorite way to play daily fantasy sports. On here, you got the matchup shop, their new game for this season, and it is super simple. I'm going to want you guys to hop on here, OverlayDFS.com. Pretty much how it works, it is the player versus player fantasy sports game. It's that simple. Who will score more fantasy points? Travis Kelce versus Tyreek Hill, given the spread of the game. Travis Kelce is given an additional 1.5 PPR point, and Tyreek Hill is given a -1 point. So at the end of the game, who has more points? Travis Kelce +1 or Tyreek Hill -1? It is very simple. You guys are doing all this research all week long for fantasy football. Why not dominate and win some cash on OverlayDFS.com? Check out Monday Night Slate today on OverlayDFS.com. And we are back. If you guys did end up enjoying this video, or at any point in this video, if you end up enjoying, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win that 2020 Fantasy Football Championship. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Week 7 defenses to stream for fantasy football in 2020. We began with the Los Angeles Chargers going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars in week number 7. Now, last week, they ended up having a bye, so obviously there's no stats for that game, but last time they played in week number 5 up against the New Orleans Saints in New Orleans, they had 2 sacks, 1 interception, and 30 points allowed, so that's not necessarily something to write home about. I understand that's not an amazing game, but to understand how not so hot this Jacksonville Jaguars offense is, we can look to see how the Lions played up against them last week in Jacksonville. They had 1 sack, 1 INT, 1 fumble recovery, and 16 points allowed. And if you know about the Detroit Lions, they're not the hottest defense in the league. Now, they're not completely awful, but they're not one of the top defenses in the league, and they're not as good as the Los Angeles Chargers defense. So my thinking behind this is that the Jags offense does look stagnant at points in the game. The Chargers defense is relatively good, so the Chargers defense will be able to play good up against the Jacksonville Jaguars for fantasy football this week. Recently, Gardner has just been making some decisions in the game that are plain out questionable. They are questionable every single time this motherfucker steps onto the field. He makes such dumb decisions, and the Jags offensive line is not helping him out. The fact that DJ Chark keeps getting hurt, the fact that they don't really have a true wide receiver 2 on the team is really hurting Mr. Gardner Minshew and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I think the Chargers defense this week should be able to be one of the better pickups of the week. The next defense here is the Buffalo Bills going up against the New York Football Jets. Now, right now, we don't know how the Bills are going to play because this week they're playing up against the Kansas City Chiefs, and obviously that has not yet to happen. As you guys are watching this on Monday, if you're watching on Monday, the game has not happened yet. It actually happens tonight. So the New York Football Jets last week up against the Miami Dolphins got their shit clapped up. Joe Flacco played like a chicken with his head cut off. I don't know if Sam Darnold is going to play or not, mono man Sam, but frankly, I don't give 2 shits if Sam Darnold is playing or not. As long as Adam Gase is the coach of the New York Football Jets, this team is going to be a certified dumpster fire, and the Buffalo defense will play well. Now, I understand, oh, Nick, week 5, the Buffalo defense got bent over by Tennessee, who hadn't even practiced in like 12 days. That's completely true. You're not fucking wrong with that statement. 42 points allowed against Tennessee, no sacks, no interceptions. They weren't pressuring Tannehill at all. Tannehill was just sitting back there. He fucking lit up a cigar, was smoking that shit, and threw touchdowns in the game like it was nothing. He was just having a cool time back there. He was playing Madden on rookie mode back there. Meanwhile, the fucking Bills defense looked like they couldn't stop anyone. It was embarrassing. But this week, they're playing up against the Jets. All right, Dolphins defense, week 5 up against the New York Football Jets. It was a murder spree. 3 sacks, 1 INT, and 0 points allowed. I would not be surprised if the Jets this week up against the Bills scored less than 7 points. All right, they got put to 0 last week up against the Dolphins. I don't necessarily think that will happen again, especially if Sam Darnold is playing. If Mono Man Sam does get the nod to play, then I do think that Sam Darnold will be able to score them a couple of points, but I really don't think that this game at any point the Jets are even in it or doing good enough for the Buffalo Bills defense to go down, and the Bills defense is going to make that offensive line pay. The Jets offensive line does not look very good and will make the quarterback, whoever it is, make poor decisions. Now, the Jets, realistically, right now what they should do, my friend Tyler brought this up at Tyler Moss NFL on Twitter, what they should do is they should fire off Sam Darnold to the Indianapolis Colts for some picks. The Colts direly need a quarterback. The Jets want Trevor Lawrence. It's very simple. I don't think that's going to happen, though, this year. Maybe we see it happen around the draft. So the Buffalo Bills here going up against the New York Football Jets. This is going to be a murder spree, O.J. Simpson style stabbing of the New York Football Jets from his old team, the Buffalo Bills. Next game here, we got the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the Denver Broncos. Now, week 5, last time we saw the Chiefs play, because again, the Chiefs are playing tonight as you guys are watching this on Monday. If you're watching this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, anytime after this, you already know what the fuck happened. The Chiefs probably beat the Buffalo Bills, would be my assumption. Maybe that's wrong, though. Could be wrong. I like the Bills as well. Chiefs defense week 5 up against the Las Vegas Raiders. Got absolutely smacked up. 1 sack, 1 INT. And a grand total of 40 points allowed. So that Chiefs defense did not look very hot last week, or the last time they played, up against the Las Vegas Raiders. I expect them to look a bit better this week up against the Buffalo Bills. Week 6 up against the Denver Broncos, the team that the Chiefs are playing. The Patriots kind of laid them down, but Horsecock Drew Lock obviously ended up winning that game. But they didn't score a bunch of points, and Drew Lock was making a lot of bad decisions in that game. Got sacked twice through 2 INTs, and they had 18 points allowed only to the Denver defense. The Chiefs are not going to let the Denver Broncos come into that game. The Patriots got hit with the biggest trap game of their life, coming into a game where you think the Patriots are going to smack the ever-living shit out of the Denver Broncos. I thought Bill Belichick was going to wear his best fucking Emperor Palpatine costume, walk in there, and firmly bitch slap Horsecock Drew Lock right in the face. But in reality, Drew Lock did the reverse. He hit the fucking Uno reverse card, and he slapped Bill Belichick right in the face. Clearly, Cam not having practice for the last 2 weeks probably impacted them to buy. All these type of things were definitely impacts in that game. But the Denver Broncos are not very good. I understand that this is an in-division matchup, so that may worry some people. But I think the Chiefs here firmly grasp the Denver Broncos' neck and go for a sweet kill here up against the Denver Broncos. I really don't think they stand a chance. I think that the Chiefs defense is much better than we've seen last up against the Las Vegas Raiders. And now on to the next defense here, the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Football Jets. If you guys have ended up enjoying this video thus far, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, because again, not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys eat that W and win your 2020 Fantasy Football Championship. So the next defense here, like I said, is the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the New York Football Giants on Thursday Night Football. Now, the Eagles' defense is not good. Not good at all. 3 sacks last week up against the Baltimore Ravens and 30 points allowed. That's not very good. But the thing is, they're playing up against the New York Football Giants, and the Giants' offense is fucking filled with a bunch of jabronis. They're not very good at all. Washington defense up against the New York Football Giants, not the greatest defense, an okay defense. 1 sack, 1 INT, and 14 points allowed. I expect this one to be an in-division matchup where it is just a snail fest crawling to the end of the game, where they're just slowly scoring points, slowly moving the ball, and you are bored by halftime on Thursday. I don't know what jack-off thought that this was a good Thursday night game, but this is what we have, and the Eagles here and the Giants is going to be very low scoring. It's going to be fucking boring. You're going to be asleep back there. You're going to want to take a big dirt nap after this one, so it's going to be boring, and the Eagles defense is going to play good. You want to know why? Because the Giants offense is not very good. Next team here, ooh, spicy, spicy, spicy. It's the same game, the New York Football Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I know what you might be thinking, Nick. The Giants defense is awful. And I know that, but the thing is, the Philadelphia Eagles offense is not very good. And again, this is an in-division matchup that I expect to be a slow crawl through this game where nothing really happens. It's very uneventful. In my opinion, I don't see this being a NFC East smackdown. I see this being an NFC East dick down of the viewers for having to watch this one. The Giants defense last week up against the Washington Football Team had 3 sacks, 1 INT, 1 fumble recovery, 1 tutty, and 19 points allowed. Now, I don't expect them to score a defensive touchdown in this affair up against the Philadelphia Eagles, but I do expect another slower scoring in-division matchup where both teams kind of fucking suck absolute wee-wee at offense, and both defenses play quite well in fantasy. The Ravens defense last week up against the Eagles had 6 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, and 28 points allowed. So that's not the greatest thing. The Ravens defense obviously better than the Giants defense, but we did see the Giants defense look good the week prior as well up against the Dallas Cowboys. So don't count out the New York Football Giants. They're an all-right defense for this week. Next game here, talking about the Dallas Cowboys, is the Dallas Cowboys defense. I actually have 6 defenses in this video. I hit you guys with a bit of a whoop-de-wop here for some bonus content. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Washington Football Team. We have no idea how the Washington Football Team did, because They don't play until Monday because there's 2 fucking Monday games. So, if they get blown out by the Arizona Cardinals, I still don't really care because the Giants looked good up against Washington last week. So the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Washington football team in Washington this week. The Cowboys defense week 5 up against the New York football Giants had 2 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, 1 touchdown, and 20 points allowed. I understand the Cowboys defense sucks absolute ass, but the Washington football team's offense also sucks absolute ass. And this one, just like with the Giants game a couple of weeks ago, is going in week number 5 is going to involve 2 defenses doing good because the other offense isn't very good. Cowboys defense versus Arizona, again, TBD, to be determined because I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm not going to fucking predict the future and put my future stats onto the screen. We're just going to have to go ahead and wait to see what actually happens. The Giants defense week 6 up against the Washington football team. Again, obviously you just heard these stats 5 fucking seconds ago, but I'll read them again. 3 sacks, 1 INT, 1 fumble recovery, 1 tutty, and 19 points allowed. So while Dallas's defense can't stop a local JV football team, they could probably stop the Washington football team. So thank you guys all for watching this video. Again, if you ended up enjoying it at any point in this one, you had a nice chuckle, you had fun, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. I would really appreciate it. We are on the road to 10,000 subscribers. I'm going to try to hit that by the end of this week. Is that possible? Maybe not, but I'm gunning for it. I'm going to try my hardest to make sure I get enough content out there for us to be able to make it there. So thank you all for watching. I love each and every single one of you motherfuckers. Check out overlaydfs.com. Have a great rest of your guys' day. As always, goodbye!